One of the biggest challenges that we face in our careers is whether to take the job that we want or the job that we think we should take. Do we want to advance or do we want to take the job we love? In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about things you could consider as you're progressing toward making that decision between the job you love and the job you think you should take, because the two may not be different. Choosing between an enviable career and a job that can make you happy can be really tough. One part of you thinks about how much money you can make from advancement, and the other one thinks about how you can live with true peace of mind and excitement and passion for your job every day. When you're faced with that dilemma, particularly if you've either got a job that you really like, but you're being offered one that you aren't as excited about but offers a lot more advancement and money, or you're looking at two job offers where there's a difference in responsibility and pay, but one you think you'll like more than the other, there's a few things to think about. So it's important at that point to step back and think about your options. And this is one of those times when emotion and logic probably should play a part in your decision-making process. So I'm going to talk about 4 things that you should be considering when trying to make one of these really tough career decisions. The first one is managing workload. You might be ready emotionally or even physically and certainly psychologically for that big career boost, but be aware that when you move up, it comes along with its own set of challenges. For instance, superiors might expect a lot more hours than you've been putting in before. There's going to be a lot more stressors. The higher you go, the more the stuff on your desk falls to the extremes of a distribution of problems, from really great stuff to really crappy stuff, and everything in the middle is handled by other folks. So if you're comfortable with the normal routine and solving normal problems, the higher you go, the longer the tail gets on the weirdness and difficulty of the problems you're faced. The question isn't whether you're shying away from work, and the question isn't whether you're capable of doing it, but at what point does it become too much for you to handle physically, emotionally, or holistically? You might be collecting accolades like crazy, folks might love what you're doing, and they might recognize that, hey, I couldn't do that job. It's got too much stress. It's got too much anxiety. There's just too much going on there, and I wouldn't want it. There's a situation as you move up into some of these positions where you're expected to be on 24/7, 365. You get into some senior IT positions, for instance, and your systems are very dependent upon your network or the cloud-based system that you're operating on, and something goes wrong and your customers are impacted, you're on call all the time. The higher you go, the more likely it is that that's going to continue to happen. The mere fact that this is a great opportunity and it's open to you speaks a lot about your capabilities and what you could be doing. However, you need to be taking that step back and going, okay, is that something that I really should be doing or not? And is that workload that I'm going to be taking on something that I should really accept in a holistic manner? Is it something that I really should be embracing, or is it enough to just know I can do it, that someone feels confident that I could do it, but it isn't something that I'm ready to kind of make that level of sacrifice? The other questions are, do you have the training and experience to take on everything that's going to be asked of you? Because if you don't, you're going to have a learning curve on top of additional work that you're going to have to climb. And I'll tell you, inexperience isn't a reason to shy away from a job, because every job that I've ever taken, I had a lack of experience in some component of that job, whether it was in the technical pieces or whether it was in the industry. And sometimes some of the most fun opportunities for me have been ones where I've made very large changes and had a very steep learning curve, but recognizing that progress along the way, that satisfied my holistic needs. You might be wired a little bit differently. Don't be afraid of going into a job where you've got less experience or inexperience. However, you are going to need to climb that learning curve on top of the new responsibilities. If your skill sets really serve the job you love, and that's what you want to do, then my recommendation is, by all means, unless you feel that compelling urge to climb the mountain and learn something really new and put in that time and effort, stick with the job you love. Number 2 is maintaining work-life balance. Some of this, overlaps as we're walking through the list, but work and life balance are important to maintain. And balance isn't like an equality. Balance is, how do you feel that those are being balanced out in your life, not how do other people feel. There's many jobs that can help you achieve work-life balance as a goal, but some take more time and effort than others. You may have a very steep learning curve, and so you recognize that once I climb the learning curve and I get, kind of the body of knowledge that I'm going to need to be successful, at that point I'm fine. And I don't need to keep climbing the ladder anymore, and my work-life balance is going to adjust at a new higher salary level and other things. So it's worth the short-term pain for the long-term gain. Other jobs, there may be no light at the end of the tunnel, and it's best going in, or when you're evaluating those opportunities, to know whether it's I've got to climb the mountain, and once I'm there, I can oversee a beautiful vista, or whether the mountain doesn't end and I'm just going to keep climbing. So figure out, if you're weighing between two offers, really which one is going to get you to the work-life balance you're looking for. And again, I can't stress enough, the work-life balance isn't what someone else thinks, and it isn't a 50-50 mix or 8 hours a day. It's what you feel gives you a balanced life and perspective. You need to be able to be successful in your job as well as with other aspects of your life. There's a lot of factors that create balance in your life. One of the most important is being able to afford all aspects of your life as well, and not being burdened or feeling burdened by debt or spending money on stuff you don't need. So it's okay, one, to make less money. It's also okay to recognize that if you're not making enough money, that is really impacting the quality of your life, particularly if you're having trouble meeting basic needs. And sometimes taking on additional job stress may relieve far more non-job stress, because the pay and benefits associated with this higher paying, higher advancing job will more than offset, and the stresses more than offset kind of the stressors that you've got in your personal life or in your non-work life. So kind of keep those in mind as you're balancing that work-life balance perspective, that it's not all about time. Money plays a factor as well, and you can't enjoy your, if you're only working 4 hours a day, you may have a great work-life balance, but if you've got no money to enjoy the rest of your life, then that's not going to meet the needs that you need for yourself. Number 3 is understand your passions. It's a lot to consider at any point in your life, but particularly when you're looking at 2 job offers and there might be a major difference in compensation. Trying to figure out what type of commitment you want and how much energy you have for each job offer that's sitting on the table is a difficult thing to do, particularly when you're trying to pull on more the emotional side of things rather than the logical. And I think the overarching theme of this discussion or this video is you got to look at both. This isn't an emotional decision, and it isn't purely a logical decision. The two have to play together in order to get you to the best answer. So when you're looking at all the things you can consider, what's most important to you? What are your passions? Which job will fuel those passions more? Which job will take up more of your time? And does a job taking up more of your time fuel more of your passions? Because instead of you going, oh my gosh, this might be a 12-hour-a-day job and it's going to ruin my work-life balance, if you've got a real passion for that job, that may actually invigorate you as opposed to drain you. And so understanding your passions and how those weigh with the 2 jobs offered in front of you, is an important factor. As a matter of fact, it may be the most important factor here, outside of can I meet my basic obligations. What will fuel you versus what will drain you. There are 2 kinds of people in this world: those that have found their passion and love what they do, and everybody else. When you find your true calling, it's easier to commit as much energy as possible to be successful. when you don't care about your job or get employment from any other aspects besides income generation, so you're focused solely on how much money can I make, then work becomes a chore, and it doesn't matter how much that money is. And you can make 7 figures a year, and I've been there in my career, and you're just absolutely miserable. And then you've got other positions where you're making 25% of what you used to make, and you're really happy, and I've been there too. But when I was here, I also had personal stressors, and when I was here, I had all sorts of job stressors and personal stressors, and finding something in the middle was kind of where I can help companies and businesses was fueling my passion. So that's where I moved my career to, and that's something, as I've gone through my career journey, that's where I've started moving kind of these thoughts to, and it's something that as you're evaluating those two offers will be helpful for you as well. Weighing the pros and cons of the decision are always important, but don't lose sight of your motivation. Don't lose sight of your passion. Don't lose sight of what drives you and what is going to fulfill you versus what's going to drain you every day. And the last one, number 4, is to understand your expectations. Many people have found themselves in a situation where they're unhappy with their current job or with a relationship or with a friendship or their home or some other situation where they're just not happy, and they feel the need to do something, and that will make it all better. And a lot of times doing something just puts you from frying pan to fire, or puts you from bad to worse, because you've jumped into another opportunity, and that new opportunity, because you were so desperate to get out of your old situation, the new opportunity that you're looking at is absolutely the wrong opportunity for you. If you're getting that sense of this isn't the right spot, take a step back and try and understand what your expectations are for a job. What are you really looking for? Put them down, write them down. And I'm not talking type them out. I'm talking like write them down. And that act of just sitting there, writing it down and kind of forcing your focus onto those expectations will help you evaluate the two jobs that are sitting in front of you and really give you a chance to be able to not only logically analyze that list of expectations, but also emotionally digest it to allow you to make a better decision. That when you're looking at those desired positions and you're just not happy with where you're at and you're looking to jump, by setting those expectations and understanding what your expectations are, it's going to set a better frame for you to be able to make that decision. I can't stress enough, as I wrap up the video, how important it is to think about what you want from your career and from your life and how the two work together. You can't get to where you're going without taking a holistic look at the journey you're making. That is both financial and emotional. And if you fail in one of those two aspects, you're really going to struggle to achieve a satisfaction, a happiness, a joy in living. You're going to struggle to fuel your passions. And it's important in choosing a career or choosing a job when you're sitting in a position of personal reflection, that you choose something that's going to provide the best chance for you to meet your holistic needs, financial, emotional, physical, spiritual, and that it's going to provide you with the type of energy and effort as well as financial resources that you're going to need to be successful and ultimately drive to FI. Until next time.